If you bought your peptides from a TikTok comment, from a DM me info link, or from some dude waving his vials around in his bedroom, I want you to stop, collaborate, and listen here for a moment. You're not biohacking. You're actually running a Breaking Bad remake literally on your own body. If you're not Walter White, then hey, let's just stop for a moment. I'm Dr. Adam Boender, and this is the Peptide Pulse, where peptides are tools for long-term biooptimization, not prompts in somebody's side hustle lab experiment. That's not what you are. Today, I'm going to do three things for you. Number one, I'm going to expose the rumor versus the reality around this Department of Justice shutting down peptide sites. I also, number two, want to show you what's actually happening with regulators, big pharma, and the gray market circus that you see on TikTok and even Instagram. And number three, I want to hand you my smart peptide sourcing framework and explain exactly where peptideresearcher.com and vetted practitioners fit into that model. This is going to be a short, punchy episode, only about 10 minutes, so just listen carefully. Let's get the framework and let's stop playing chemistry roulette with your own bodies. Let's start with the rumor that you've probably been seeing screenshot and thrown around 100 times, maybe thousands of times on TikTok and Instagram. So starting January 1st, all this business-to-consumer peptide websites, they're going to be starting to get shut down by the Department of Justice. So popular sites such as Peptide Sciences and some of these other ones, the truth is Big Pharma is trying to make an example of these direct-to-consumer sites. And the only way to get peptides is going to be through telehealth and prescriptions, and it's going to make an example. So that's really what they're trying to do. In reality, what you're reading and what you're really nervous about within the system goes honestly straight to this like hoarder mode. Everybody's like, oh, I need to stock up. I need to get these peptides. Should I buy as much as I can before they all shut down? And quite honestly, that reaction is human. It's normal. It's also kind of that fast lane to the worst quality peptides you will probably ever touch. And here's the truth. There is no public Department of Justice memo that actually says on January 1, every peptide site is going to disappear. It just doesn't happen that way. But I will tell you this, regulators will tighten the screws on these unapproved peptides and GLP-1 products. It's a big thing. Big Pharma is literally sounding the alarm. And that's what's happening right now. They're sounding the alarm on these fake and contaminated kickoffs and these knockoffs, and all these things have been just thrown out there for you, the consumer, to take. So the fear that's attached to something like this is real. But honestly, the story, the sky is falling at midnight type of thing, that panic, don't buy it. It's not actually going to happen. This isn't literally a light switch that gets turned off. It's not something that's just going to strike and be gone. And when people feel that though, they literally run to a lot of these sketchy places where people are just saying, buy now, get what you need, stock up, take this. That's really what I'm trying to actually pull out and help you understand when we go through this. So let's talk about what I actually see in my feeds and what's happening. Every time one of my peptide clips actually starts to go viral or, is even somewhat mildly viral on TikTok or Instagram, the comments turn in this literally swamp of meat peptide plugs. So like best supplier, at so-and-so, I order from this guy, he ships worldwide, to DM this coach for your best BPC and TB. Check out our page, pharmacy grade peptides, lowest prices. Guys, I want to bring some reality to you. This is the same pattern over and over and over again. These TikTok pages, these branded as peptide coaches, Pep Talk, GLP-1 plugs, showing like these bare-chested pictures of this bro science guy. Honestly, these boxes of vials that are stacked in a bedroom, to these new deliveries of, hey, DM me for more info, discard or send me over this information, telegram me links, this WhatsApp number in their bio. Guys, realize what they are sending you. Retatrutide, Manjaro, knockoffs being pulled out literally of cardboard boxes. I saw this one the other day. Somebody was actually holding this cryo box, and she's like, look at my peptides, peptide sale for Christmas. Every single one of them had no label. They were even reconstituted. How are you going to know what's actually in that? It's ridiculous. It's scary. You are literally playing Russian roulette with your body if you are going with this bro science and this at so-and-so, and you think you're going to get something right. Then I get these DMs like, hey bro, can I promote a link under your video? Or, can you send people to my site? I'll give you a code. They don't have COAs. There's no manufacturing info. There's no quality system. Literally just vials, vibes, and maybe a Venmo. So when I say if your peptide source is a username and a payment app, that's not a protocol, that's not a program, that's a bet. That's not me trying to just be clever or somebody trying to be clever. That's literally what the average consumer is actually being sold. And that's why I'm sharing this information with you, because that is scary. It's scary, guys. So now move from the algorithm to reality. The core question is, what's actually in those vials? We're not talking about what the label says. We're talking about what a chromatograph, basically what it is a chromatograph is what shows you the purity in a product on a COA. What they say is actually sent to a lab. When an independent group or a lab has gone out and tested these research-only peptides from online vendors, they keep finding the same three problems. Number one, underdosed vials. The sticker says maybe 10 milligrams. The lab finds that it's 4, 6, maybe even 7 on a good day. The dirty purity profiles are ridiculous, meaning you don't even know what's coming. It could be endotoxins, heavy metals. Literally, there is not a trace of what's actually in there half of the time. Because I will send these out when I will actually go and I'll buy some of that stuff just so I can actually check to see what the impurity peaks are. So again, stuff you aren't paying for and your body didn't ask for, you're going to be putting that into you. Wrong or degraded peptides, that happens all the time. I mean, think about it. You don't have a label on your vial, or if it's written with a magic marker, you have no idea. In some studies, what was sold as what was once a peptide actually turned out to be something completely different, or so degraded it didn't even show up. So when someone shrugs and says like, hey, it's research only, or it's legit, what I hear is, I'm gambling with a mystery blend because a guy on social media said it's fine. It's not fine. If a vial is too dirty for a petri dish, it has no business going anywhere near your body, specifically going and being injected into your body. And we've already watched what happens when sterile products go wrong. I mean, think of compounding disasters where contaminated injectables caused infections and other deaths. Yeah, that's right, deaths. It has actually happened. Those came from licensed facilities. And truly, if they're cutting corners, what do you think black market and gray market peptide people are actually pushing to you? This is not a guy just handing a package of vials, in a one-bedroom apartment. That's what we have to stay away from, and that's typically what's happened. So what do we do with all this? We don't hide. We don't panic. We just get smarter. This is where my smart peptide sourcing framework really comes into play. So I really want you to listen to this. Please, laser-like focus. Let's go into this. The same way I think when I vet anything else in this space, I'll give you quickly and clearly what to look for. So rule number one, clear, transparent manufacturing. So the first question I ask, who actually makes this? Not who sells it to you, not who tagged themselves under my video. I want to know the manufacturer. You should be able to get straightforward answers. Where is it made? What quality standards do they follow? So GMP, CGMP style, so good certified manufacturing practices. How do they control the consistency and the contamination? So that's why you have CGMP. It's a controlled system for every single time they make something. If the only answer you get is pharmaceutical grade and a flex in the background, I mean, honestly, guys, that's not the answer. So really what we're looking for, if they can't tell you where it's made, assume it's somewhere you would never let your kids walk into, quite honestly. Rule number two, real third-party testing. So with third-party testing, that means they've actually made the product and they've sent it out. With a lot of the places that I will send products to and I trust is Vanguard. I know a lot of people that actually will send out their products to peptidetest.com. It's a great source if you just want to get a quick test on a product that you've got, but never accept the trust us. That's not a testing protocol. I mean, that's not even the bare minimum. So independent third-party testing for identity, purity, and potency, essential. A batch-specific COA tied to a real lot number on the vial. So on a vial, you're going to see a lot number, you're going to see the purity, you're going to see what, and honestly, I'm going to say this real quick. If something says, greater than 99.99% pure, number one, they're lying to you, because you have to have some sort of excipient within a product to actually keep it in a lyophilized form. So there's never anything that's 99.99% pure. Honestly, any purity over 98% is considered extremely pure, specifically with USP standards. That's US pharmacy standards. In fact, most 503A, 503B standards is anything over 94% is considered pure. You want to look for those injectables testing for microbes, endotoxins. When I call Vanguard and talk with them, a lot of times they say most pharmacies will do endotoxin and heavy metal tests on their batches once or twice a year to just make sure that's okay. So that's layer one. Layer two is what I do when I feel something's off. So I send it to a specific lab. So if you really feel like something's off, they're like, bro, trust me, this is going to be good stuff. Buy a couple vials. You're probably buying it cheap enough that you could actually afford that. That's the other thing to look for, is how cheap that product is. Send it to a lab. Again, you can send it to Vanguard. You can send it to peptidetest.com, and you'll really know exactly what's on the label, because it's going to tell you. It's going to come back. Trust me, I've had stuff come back and it's not even close. In fact, I bought a GLP-2 product once. I sent out to Pep Test. I sent it to Vanguard. It came back with less than 17% of the actual product that was on the label. Less than 17%. That's scary. I didn't even try to know what else was in there. I just know there's only 17%. So my question is, what else is in that milligram vial? So how pure is it really? That's what that's going to tell you. What's hiding in the impurity profile? You would have to do some additional tests. I can tell you a full test, if I'm looking at companies like Vanguard, and when I want to know everything, I'm spending around $700 per vial just to test a product. And usually when they're doing a whole lot, let's say a manufacturer makes 1,000 vials. Typically what you want to check is you want to get probably about 5 to 10% of that lot to be tested, because the test of one doesn't really tell you a whole lot. So you want to make sure you have a little bit more in there. But that's part one, a few resources there, but you can also, not just that, but you've got to make sure that when somebody has like a drawer full of vials from a random site, whether it's TikTok plugs or you're just thinking, man, is this trash or is it treasure? You don't have to guess. You shouldn't have to guess. You should be able to have the source. So if you're serious about bio-optimizing, truly health, I hope that this is real. It's not just a plan. It's something that you will take the steps, mail it in, get it to a lab, get it somewhere so that you can know that what you're putting in your system is actually doing something right.
In wellness, every second counts. With Unify Messaging, clinics connect with new leads instantly, turning inquiries into appointments faster than ever. Quick responses mean more patients and stronger growth. See how AI-powered speed-to-lead capabilities are helping wellness clinics thrive with Unify Messaging. Visit us at unify360.com.
Rule number 3, sterility, formulation, storage. For injectables specifically, sterility is a non-negotiable. You want sterile lyophilized vials with intact seals, making sure that top cap is actually on there. Clear reconstitution instructions. If they're not sending you how to actually add the backwater, you want to make sure that they're also giving you clear storage instructions, especially after you mix, refrigeration, things like that. If they're just sending it to you, here you go, bro, good luck. Like, that's not what you do. So if you're learning how to mix something and inject something into you from some shirtless TikTok tutorial shot in a kitchen counter, think about that. You are not in a controlled environment. So again, make sure you know what you're getting. And when it comes to things like sprays, sublinguals, orals, you ask, does this formulation make sense for this molecule? Those are things you want to look at too. Can actually survive in that form and be utilized. Is there a literally thought through delivery system from nano-encapsulated, liposomal, isotonic, not just a powder and a flavored liquid? Those are other things. You want to make sure that you have COAs for those types of products too. If it looks like a pre-workout recipe, with a peptide dumped into it, honestly, treat it that way. It's probably what it is. All right, rule number 4, labels that actually mean something. A real label is not just aesthetics, looking nice. It's your paper trail. You should actually see the peptide name, as an identifier. You should see the total milligrams per vial. And I do want to stop here for 1 minute. One of the things that you want to look at is somebody says, if it says like BPC 157, 10 milligrams, I will tell you that when it goes through a COA, certificate of analysis testing, the test may come back and it may be, I said earlier that sometimes it's lower, like a 4 milligram, a 7 milligram instead of a 10. But sometimes, if you're getting it from a true manufacturer, it may actually say 11 milligrams or 10.5. That's actually a good thing. It means you're actually getting more of that product. And most great manufacturers and producers of peptides have a little bit higher amount, because with reconstitution, you can lose a little bit of that peptide through reconstitution. It just happens, degradation over time. So it's actually good if you have a little bit more. Look for the lot numbers, look for the expiration dates, look for the storage instructions when it's sent to you. Does it tell you how to store it, how to reconstitute it? Contact info for the company. If that's not sent as well, make sure that you're getting that information. So coming, with regulation, codes, I will say the future of this industry, they're doing this in supplementation. They're going to be doing this also with peptides and other pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, it could be a B12, it could be anything else. They're going to start putting QR codes so it can actually have traceability, links directly to the actual COAs. If the vial is blank, written with a Sharpie, or if it has some sort of flimsy generic sticker, honestly, with no real date, you're basically injecting, well, with a blind spot. You don't know. All right, so rule number 5, science first, hype second. Finally, listen to how the company and the influencers are actually pushing it and how they talk. Do they educate on safety, handling, realistic expectations? Great question, right? Do they have someone who can actually answer technical questions if you're needing something? I almost said needling something, which technically you are needling this with the injectables. Does it clearly say what they don't claim or recommend? I mean, claims are important. In fact, you shouldn't be making any claims, quite honestly. It's backing it up by research. Or is it something that's transformation picks, life-changing in 10 days, use my code, link in bio. Again, these are affiliates pushing products. They don't care ultimately about your health. They care about their back pocket and the bottom dollar. With a little research only, not for human consumption, slapped on it at the bottom, that line does not magically just, sterilize a dirty vial or turn a counterfeit into something real. If the whole business model is a pump-up video that just promotes codes, you're not in a clinic, you're literally in a cartoon. You're not doing it right. Now, where does Peptide Researcher come in and fit in this? Because we talked about these rules and what I look for, because this is very important. PeptideResearcher.com, and the reason I promote this and I push this forward is it's not there to just be another source. It exists truly to be the opposite of that and to opposite the chaos that's actually out there. The whole point of PeptideResearcher.com is to educate first. It's to teach you how peptides work, what the research actually says, and truly how to think about the safety and the sourcing. And honestly, it's about proper pathways. It's to point you towards, and I say pathways, the real practitioners, the health coaches, the wellness experts, the clinicians, not just random usernames, that you're going to see in the comments of a TikTok video or an Instagram. Truly vetted relationships. And the practitioners that we highlight and that I find and put on Peptide Researcher are people that have gone through education, that have found peptide sources that are validated, that have proper COAs, and making sure that they think about the purity, the dosing, and the compliance to making sure that it's done right. So when people ask me, like, what's a trusted source? Where do I even start? My answer is not, hey, here's a coupon code for that. My answer is start at peptideresearcher.com, get educated. In fact, I even have a free resource there, a downloadable ebook specifically for you that'll actually walk through the science, the research, reconstitution, understanding how to utilize these very important molecules that can truly transform your life. And if you're ready to connect with a practitioner or a coach who has already done the hard work of vetting their sourcing, if you're not trying to just do a DIY or a pharmaceutical supply chain off of TikTok, honestly, if you're serious about biooptimizing, your first step shouldn't be a TikTok plug. It should actually be going to peptideresearcher.com and finding a qualified clinician or a health coach who knows what they're actually doing. So I've been blowing a lot of information over at you. So let's land all of this with some clarity. Nothing I've said today is truly meant to encourage or condone using products labeled research only. It's not condoning, utilizing products that say not for human consumption or anything similar. I mean, there's a lot of verbiage and words out there that can be fancy and neat, and we think that it keeps us safe or even not safe, who knows? But those labels exist for legal and regulatory reasons. Ignoring them carries risks. So this is not medical advice, this is not a diagnosis, this is not a treatment plan, and it's not a recommendation to use any specific products. That's not what this is for. That's not why I'm speaking today. This is true education. It's bringing you an understanding of what's out there and why things are happening, so you can stop playing that Breaking Bad with your biology. That's not what you need to do. Start making informed, intentional decisions with a real strategy and real support. Peptides are not the villain. Bad sourcing is, bad actors are, bad assumptions are. Quite honestly, if this episode hits home at all, please share it. Please share it with your friends, share it with your family who won't stop just tagging sketchy sources under every single peptide video. Share it with the influencer who actually needs a reality check. Share it with the clinician who wants to actually stay ahead of this regulatory wave, because it is coming. That's the state of this industry. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Peptide Pulse, because on this platform, if you are ready for smarter starting points, with understanding where we're going, make sure that you're putting comments in. I try to reach out. I try to respond to those comments as much as possible. Make sure that you're going to peptideresearcher.com. Get educated. Plug into the right practitioner or the right coach who's actually vetted these peptides, the peptides that can be safe for you. That's really what we're talking about today. I'm Dr. Adam Boender. Stay smart, stay safe, keep biooptimizing, and I'll see you on the next episode.